Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Tonight, there's a couple material design PRs I was going to take a quick look at, and then I wanted to dive in on some Velopack work. There's been a feature that came up in the Discord, and it's been requested a handful of times, and I actually have a personal need for it. So I was going to take a look at seeing about MSI installers take two. It was something I tried a while back, didn't land well, learned a little bit more. I take another run at it. But let's dive in. Let's dive in. Okay, so PR number one. Those people wanting to play along at home. Um, so this was one that there was some discussion on, I believe, on the issue itself, as well as a little bit of back and forth because I was kind of following the thread here, um, as far as what the problems were, and it kind of boils down to, I think, Nikolai, that down here. Yeah, there was something down here. There was a bit of confusion around like the animation properties, and whether they were data bindable. There is one thing, even though they're data bindable, it's worth noting that they are generally frozen. So they get usually with animation stuff, um, by having things being immutable, it means that they are uh, easy to animate. Because what do you do if a value changes partway through? It kind of gets weird at times, but let's take a look at this. I think this is a very simple change. Yeah, so the change itself is simple, but the implications are a little harder. So, for example, you'll note the to value is being bound to the tag of the switch grid, which means the whole story is not just in the changed lines. Right? So there's your switch grid there, there's the tag. And I have a sinking suspicion that the reason this exists here. So, for people unfamiliar, the tag property in WPF is just an arbitrary object. You can shove anything you want in there. It's kind of just meant as this extra thing that you can leverage on here. For web developers, you might think of this almost like a view bag, except for it's not a dictionary, it's just a single object. Um, the other option or workaround, if you need to add something on, is just create your own attached property. That's an easy way to do it. Okay, so that's where it's going to. I'm a little curious because I think there is. I'm also a little surprised, and maybe we'll look at the issue here in just a second. Screw it. We'll just open the. Let me get the repo open. The other thing I wanted to take a brief look at is I was surprised that this was related to just the material design switch toggle button in material design 3. But let's, oh, I already have it open. Uh, let's see if we, let me back up and make sure that I'm a little more caught up on exactly the problem in question, right? So moving to material design 3. So this was a migration from, I presume, the material design 2 styles, and decided to upgrade through those. When closing the parent window, the style has been loaded. I get an exception. Yeah, cannot use its default origin value of nan, because that is the if we look here and take a look at this, we look at double animation, right? So because I believe this guy here in terms of the stack trace, because this was the from, I believe, that was biting us. So I am looking for the let's see, dependency property from type of. It's interesting that the code is written like this. This is one of those, um, we'll call it almost premature optimization by saying, "Ooh, I know what we'll do. We'll avoid creating two type classes. We will create exactly one type class or one instance of this type and reuse it." Sure. This is one of those things where I have never seen this type of optimization make a difference, but I'm sure somebody's got a use case where it does. What I was looking for though, because it's complaining about nan, and the default value here, because it's a nullable double, is in fact null. The call stack on this. Get current value core. Let me look at that particular one. Let's see. Looking for the throw. Let's see. Invalid default value origin. I think that's what it said. Cannot use default origin value of nan. Cannot use. I assume this is invalid default value of origin destination, right? So is valid animation value default origin value. So where did you come from? Ah, so you are passed in. So that's where the nan came from, is higher up. So I'm guessing if we follow the call stack up, we will probably find a no coalesce into default of double. And default of double is nan or not a number. And as the name implies, it is legitimately the double floating point value for not a number. And math gets weird with it. Okay, so we landed in here, which means validate origin was true, and this guy is invalid double, which is invalid is defined as infinity or nan. So, i.e., the double doesn't actually have a numeric value. It has one of its special values. And if we look here, kind of curious where the nan comes in. Now I'm just on a curiosity peek. Those are the only two get current value. Wasn't that directly in? Oh no, it's in double animation base, so it's going to be down a class. If we do this, get current value, boom. So it is abstract here. That just is passing it on through. Where did it come from here? Animation storage, get current property value. Let's go here. Current layer value. Surprises me is guy here is of type object. Well, hold on. Current property value, and at this point I'm looking. At this point, I am now looking for a call to get current value, and it looks like it's right there. It's probably this case here then. Meta get default value. Yeah, I vaguely have a recall about this. Ooh. Property metadata. And then this was get default value. Whoa. That's not actually included out here? Interesting. That's why I can't click on it. Something in the back of my mind though is telling me that this is what is property metadata test. It's interesting this class doesn't show up in here. It must be something that is not included. Hey Ben. So today briefly looking at some pull requests, and then was gonna dive in and take a brief look at some Wix stuff for Velopack. Sorry. Getting pinged on things. Okay. So, but the short version, this seems fairly good. Let's just take a quick gander at the PR itself. Let's see. So add and check out as remote. We're just going to go launch that demo app real quick to take a quick gander at it to make sure we aren't breaking anything. Set a startup project. Okay. Why did it not check out the branch? Come on. Check out the branch, please. There we go. Okay. Material Design 3 demo. And this is going to be kind of an awkward one because we have to launch the page with the toggle button on it and then close the window and check the output window to make sure that we aren't seeing the error in question. And this is part of one of the reasons why these types of issues get missed a lot is because the actual bug in question is this part, right? When closing the parent window after the style has been loaded, because this is one of those cases where if you have a crash on like shutdown or closing a window, oftentimes people don't notice it, right? Like if the window closes or the process terminates quick enough, sometimes your debugger doesn't catch it in time and it just goes down. So it's like, okay, so buttons, right? Yeah, go away. And I'm looking for, oh, it's toggles down here. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember exactly which ones of these are in here, but this has all of the toggle button styles. Then find my output window. I'm gonna clear it. I'm gonna shut it down. Nice and clean. Great. I think we ship it. Let's see here. So this does not need evaluation required. I think we can all conclude that that was a legitimate bug. Ooh. Have to decide. This is new. This is new GitHub. When did this launch? This is kind of cool. This new milestone window. Hmm. That is very slick. Well done, GitHub. Well done. I like so little things like this with like the little circle graph to kind of just show progress on done. That's really nice. Like little details like that make for a much better UX. Okay, so we're gonna go put that guy there. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna put the PR in there. We are going to go like this was. I want to call out. I appreciated. Um, uh, uh, okay. So Corvin's, if people aren't familiar with the name, has been very active. I recently bumped him into the uh, triage group. So it's been absolutely amazing for a 24-year-old dev who I assume is just starting. Like all I got to work with is the profile description, but 24-year-old full stack.net dev. I'm assuming that means early in their career. That's my theory. I put you in the right milestone. Good. Squash merge, squash merge. Send it. Send it. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now next PR. This one here is interesting. Because this one, there, so one, I'm a little surprised at the necessity of this. Is my first thought. So the idea here, and I'll go back and point it out. Allow for custom foreground setting, right? Which on the surface seems fine, but I thought you could already do this. right? This is one of those areas where sometimes we add attached properties for things and people expect them to be attached properties, but there's oftentimes other ways of approaching it. Um, um, Sorry, getting pinged by people. It has been a long week. I will say that. It has been a very, very long week for me. Okay, so the basic premise here, and because I kind of glanced at this one already, so we're going to collapse the demo app. So checkbox assist, there's a little white space formatting here, not a big deal. But the big change is this checkbox foreground, right? Bringing in a brush, changing that. Same thing on the radio button assist class. A little bit of white space stuff going on in here. Not necessarily a big deal. But then sort of the same idea is this radio button foreground being brought in, right? Git is too stupid to realize what the actual diff is, but that's functionally the change here, right? Is bringing those things in. Um, and then down here, the attached property is set in the style with a dynamic brush, which is the pattern that we typically do. And then the control template items reach up to their templated parent to pull in that attached property. By doing it with the dynamic resource, it allows theming to automatically apply to it. By binding it to an attached property, it makes it easy for somebody to override if they want to do it. I'm wondering if the issue, because the part that's giving me a bit of pause is I'm wondering if it's related to, like, because functionally what we've now done is we've changed the path and the ellipse to be the same color. Because these were two separate brushes before, and now they're both forced into the same one. And this feels a little weird to me. Because in both of these cases, like for example, if we take checkbox and looking at this, right? So before the ellipse for the checkbox, which in this case the ellipse is uh, the uh, border bit, I believe, around the box itself. I'm trying to look to see to make sure I actually have that right. I believe the ellipse is the border and the path geometry is the check. But kind of the issue I'm seeing here is why was this necessary? You could already override because these are dynamic resources, you can already override the foreground at an individual element. And maybe that's just not clear. And then foreground was already a property that could have been set. I'm a little curious what the point of this is. I think I'm going to ask. Um, but yes, Nikolai is absolutely right that this would be a visual breaking change. So we are going to at least flag it that way so that it's real bloody obvious. And I want to do this. Uh, uh, it could have been set. Side app ready. Um, what was okay? So we're gonna do that for the moment, and I want to put Valuation required. Normally, I only put this on issues, and it's what the default label is for an issue coming in, so we know which ones we've looked at. But I kind of just want to pause this one for a moment. Actually, it'd be really convenient if there was something that would. I bet you there's a built-in status check we can get that blocks PRs if they have a label on it. I don't want to just reject the PR, but I'd kind of like to understand the point of this. But it doesn't quite feel right, so I'm a little hesitant to jump there. Okay, next. Okay, so there was a, if I can find it here, on the Velopack disc. I do not see it. There was a request. A user ran into a particular issue, but it was only because they were manually building their own MSI file from Velopack's portable output. So if we look here, it's covered even all the way up on the introduction. Maybe it's not. But Velopack has the ability to output multiple different things when you do a build, depending on what you are targeting, right? Because there's a different installer that you get under like Linux versus Windows versus Mac OS, because they need to behave slightly differently for each operating system, right? Most of the time, you don't care about those differences because you as the app developer are like, just give me the installer, get out of my way, and let me go, right? That's what most of us care about, and that's the point of Velopack, is to just get out of your way. You focus on building a great app. Let us deal with getting it installed properly for you, and you don't need to stress too much about it. But Velopack was previously based on Cloud Squirrel, which was previously based on Squirrel Windows, right? Squirrel Windows has, I don't want to say been abandoned because it's still fairly active. Like, issues have been closed and feedback has been given, but you can take a look at the commit history on here. Like, it's not overly active, right? And that's one of the problems in here, is there's it's been very slow getting changes through, which is why Cloud Squirrel was brought in to kind of clean some stuff up. Cloud Squirrel got deprecated because the author of it is now my partner on Velopack. So if you were on Cloud Squirrel, don't panic. Yes, technically Cloud Squirrel is gone, but we just renamed it. Don't panic. And in fact, there are some great migration documents. If you are interested, I actually just went through this process of migrating an app from Cloud Squirrel up to Velopack, and so I have now tested all of these things, and I made some minor changes. I don't know if I like this. I put this on here because I had made it in my notes while I was doing the upgrade of, hey, here are some common API changes that you should probably be aware of that are going to happen to you. But yeah, the problem is as Velopack advances, the thing on the right is probably going to change, right? Like, this is true as of 10.53, release 10.53 for Velopack, but it may not be true. I don't think we're planning more breaking changes, but like, we've been cleaning up the API and changing it because we haven't hit a 1.0, so we're kind of taking the opportunity that if there's something we want to rename, now's the time to do it type situation. So a lot of these just simple little renames, but it's kind of convenient to know about some of this stuff. So for what it's worth, the directions here were pretty accurate. There's not, if you were previously on Squirrel Windows, it's a very simple update. You're doing something fancy in like your app install. Yeah, that's the only major thing that was in here. This is, I think, is one of the biggest breaking changes. Is previously on Squirrel Windows, you had to do like shortcut stuff. This is no longer a thing in Velopack. It just happens for you. which is a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it's nice that it just happens for you. On the other hand, if you wanted more control of it, the control is kind of gone. It's done at compile time by the installer rather than at runtime in your control, which means you can control it when you build the installer, but you can't control it dynamically on the target machine install. So if you were doing something conditional like checking environment variables and putting in shortcuts based on other criteria, those APIs don't exist anymore. And there's some technical reasons why that happened. But if that's a major concern for anybody, message us on the Discord. Yeah. Anyway, all this to say, what used to happen is there was a MSI output that you could get from Squirrel, right? And I want to show this because people keep asking for an MSI output from Velopack, and I think I want to give it to people for no other reason other than there was an argument put forward that MSI is a trusted technology by a lot of IT professionals because an exe installer can literally do anything. Like you're running an executable, it can do whatever process start wants to do. And that scares some IT people, whereas an MSI is a little more bounded. Like, okay, I can get it from a trust perspective ish, right? In both cases, you're still installing software from somebody. And if you don't trust that somebody, you probably shouldn't be installing their software. Ignoring that detail, if we look at how the old MSI used to work, it was built with Wix, and it was built using this template WSX file, right? And I realize most people probably don't read Wix, but short version, there's a little, I believe it's called mustache, probably butchering it. The double curly braces, right? These guys here are variables that get replaced later. So you can kind of guess, hey, here are the variables that are going to make their way in to this thing. But if we scroll down to what this installer actually ends up doing, this registry key is the key thing that it does, right? HKey local machine, which means this is for all users, right? Right? And then software, Microsoft Windows, current version run. If you are unfamiliar with this registry path, this is one that you should be aware of. It exists in both the HKey local machine hive as well as the current user hive. The difference being local machine is for the machine, current user is for the current user. And so it's scoped to that. But by doing it on local machine, anything or any registry keys inside of here get executed when a user logs in. Right? So what this is actually doing is going through and launching the exe with a check install flag. Right? That's it. That is all it is doing. So because of that, it's when you install the MSI, you're not actually installing anything. What you're doing is creating a registry key that on next user login will trigger the install for that user. So it's kind of an automatic install for all users. I am very, very, very confident that people who want an MSI installer don't want this. Right? I don't believe this is the MSI installer people want when they're asking for it. And every person I've talked to so far has not asked for this. What they want is rather than Velopack to generate an exe, they want it to generate an MSI, which obviously is not going to work on any other platform, right? MSIs are Windows only. So this is for people building Windows apps. But they just want an MSI that installs their app. Dissecting the squirrel today. Yes, Kenny. Yes, we are. And so here's my thinking. I am aware that the moment I give somebody an MSI, people are going to ask for customization to it. I am very aware of that. I know that's what they want. And there's a reason Squirrel Windows did this. They did it, and why it's called template.wsx is because you can send in your own Wix template file and it will just do a variable thing replace for you, and you're off to the races. Great. That's like, isn't that easy? It's like, yeah. So I am aware that if I do this, people are going to want to control this template. or have some ability to control it or do something. Right? That is my fear that I am opening Pandora's box. I'm probably opening Pandora's box. Okay, anyway, so what does it do with this file, right? So if we go in here, as you can see, I've kind of already opened this, right? So it finds the path to Wix. And so just to be clear, if we go and look at the, this is Cloud Squirrel, but it's functionally the same on squirrel.windows. If we go in here and look at the tools directory of the NuGet package, you will note there are a lot of things that get bundled into the NuGet package. Candle is part of Wix, same with Light. These people haven't figured out the naming pattern for Wix, right? They leaned real heavy into their theme, and that's how everything got named. Does Candle and Light make sense? No. But you know what? It fit the theme, and they rolled with it. And I guess it kind of fits. Kind of fits. Feels weird to me. But if we look in here, there's your Wix and other assorted tooling to be able to make all of this work, right? So if we come back over to here, right? They read in this template, and this thing here is this path to Wix, and then pulling out this template, right? They just do up a dictionary with all of the magical find replace stuff, right? And this is where it's like, right? Like it installs it in a locate because it puts the setup exe in program files. And this is the other thing that I don't like is you install an MSI that runs a setup installer. That feels very, very wrong, right? Like you're now installing two things. Basically an installer and an installer bootstrapper. It's just, it feels off, right? I don't believe this is what people want. I believe people want an MSI that just installs their app, nothing else, right? They want an MSI that behaves more or less like the EXE. Okay, right? Like I can kind of get on board with that because once it's installed with an MSI, the built-in updater is going to kick in and take over. Okay, right? We can kind of roll with that. Right? So it does the template data, does some GUIDs because everything inside of Wix is ID'd. Hey, Izzy, freezing cold UK. I unfortunately can relate. I don't know how cold it is where you're at, but I think it's about 12 degrees where I am. And when I say 12 degrees, I mean Fahrenheit, not Celsius, which I am confident you are. We are taking a look at MSI installers for Velopack at the moment because it's once again reared its head in the Discord chat, and so I'm taking we'll call it a second look because it's like I want to understand, right? So this is that Mustache. I think Copstash is the library that Squirrel Windows uses to apply the template text. It's functionally fancy find and replace, right? I don't think I'd pull in a library. I just regex it and call it a day, right? This is an XML template. There's only so much stuff that's valid. It's probably easy enough. All right, writes out the file to a setup Wix files, grabs Candle, and then effectively uses Candle to then go through and, or I should say, Candle and Light to go through and build up the MSI. Right, so all of this to do all of that, and then deletes all of its temporary stuff and blah 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 blah. Right, which is fine, right? Like it works, and the way it finds its path, right, is it walks up looking for vendor Wix, which is what we see. Oh, maybe there's been a slight change between this and Cloud Squirrel. Regardless, it goes walking up the path. Oh, this is debug mode. Oh, yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. See, I don't like this. Izzy, I think it's V3. I think it's V3. But I'm very tempted to build Velopacks of the MSI with V4, maybe V5. Like I was briefly looking at the differences of them earlier, and V5 seems fine. V4 seems to be like what everybody's going to if they want, latest stable. Oh, tut tut tut. Uh-oh. Well, feel free to talk me off a ledge. But I'm thinking what I want to do. So here's my thinking. Here's my thinking. Let's see. Before is nougat packages. So well, okay. So okay, Izzy, this is perfect. You are the person I need today. Okay, so here's what I think I want to do. And then you can talk me off a ledge and tell me it's a bad idea and save me some time. I think what I want to do is when Velopack builds its setup exe, it's roughly akin to if we were to take this, point this at local app data / package ID, I think is the path, for the deployment. Whack all of this garbage in here, and then build up individual components for every file in the publish directory. And it has a few simpler processes. Okay. That's I think what I want to do in Velopack is have the ability to generate out a template Wix file. I'll look at making it extendable to people at potentially a later point. And then go through and I think what I saw is the heat. I think I have that name right. You can point it at a directory and say everything in here is what needs to be slurped up. Right? I think that's what I saw, but I might be getting some of the tooling wrong. It was weird. Just use the harvesting. That's okay. See, you're now inspiring me. Okay, so here's what I got. Here's what I got. Okay, so inside of here, so this is the material design demo app. And what I have done is I have gone through and done a .NET publish on this, right? Now, for Velopack, what I would run is I would run something like this. I would go, yes, harvesting used to be called heat. Okay, perfect. That's the other thing with Wix that is very frustrating is every bit of documentation and things you find online, you have to immediately evaluate which version they're talking about and figure out if it matches yours because it's frustrating beyond belief. But for Velopack, I would do this, right? This is all I would typically have to pass into Velopack to build out my setup exe, which is great, right? The key thing being, I want to feed it a directory, I want to feed it a version, I want to feed it an ID, which I believe roughly correlates to the, I think it's the upgrade code, which is why Squirrel has their consistent hash bit. GUID from hash, yeah, because because they build their GUIDs in a consistent manner. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of what I noticed, and I'm wondering if that's why most people build V3 still is because that's where the information is, right? But I'm kind of wondering if I poach a little bit of code from Cloud Squirrel for the create GUID bits, right? Which doesn't seem bad because you need consistent GUIDs for the upgrade code at least, because that's the one I believe you want to be consistent across all of yours. I honestly am not that concerned with MSIs for upgrades because if you're running Velopack, you're sort of opting into the upgrade stuff anyway. Like, I want you to be able to run an MSI for vNext and have it do the right thing, but I don't think that's going to be a very common use case. I think most people are wanting the MSI so they can hand them off to their IT department that's going to use Intune or whatever to just mass deploy out, and that's what they're looking for. The other thing is right now, this is putting it into like program files or x64. Velopack currently doesn't support that. We've got a branch where we're working on it, but the issue is the moment you do this, you have to deal with elevation because people may not be admins. And it's like, we got to do that. If using heat, you should only need about 3 GUIDs. Excellent. Okay. Okay, Izzy. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, so what I would like to do, I already had, so maybe I'll start with this. I downloaded and already followed the, where's my, there it is. Boom. So I grabbed this. Nope. Where is it? This guy. So I walked through this guy already. And did the .NET tool install. Now this gives me V5. I don't know if that's a problem having the V5 tooling preemptively. Question mark. That I was not. Oh, heat harvesting. Huh. And I did also go through and install the Visual Studio extension. Yeah, no, the elevation is more an issue for Velopack's SDK than for MSI, because if your app is installed into program files and you're going through the Velopack SDK to do updates, it's going to try to download and run things inside of that directory. It assumes it has write access to the directory, which means our bootstrapper that needs to run as part of the Velopack update stuff needs to be intelligent enough to know when it's there and prompt for elevation. Right? So it's less an MSI problem and more an artifact of how the updates work inside of Velopack. We need to make sure our bootstrapper elevates properly. Okay. So let's, I think the easiest thing to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, Izzy, installer dir variable can be changed. So I think if I were to build a Wix installer for the material design demo app, right? I think I go here. Right? This is not the right directory. MDIX installer, because I just kind of want to have this going, and then I think if I can gen this thing properly, create a directory fragment to specify that. Okay. Izzy, you are absolute gold for this. Okay. So I have no idea what this new project template gives me. Let's see here. So package, main, fragment group, example components. Example components, directory, install folder, create component file, example component Wix. So it's including itself as a thingy. Okay? And this is probably what you were talking about for creating a directory fragment of something like this for the install directory. And this is where I want to change this guy out to be local app data. I believe is what I'm going for here. And then I want to, so then I guess the question is if I come back over here, right? So Wix toolset heat NuGet package. So I need that. If I go here and I go manage NuGet package, I've done, oh, I suppose you probably have to spell it correctly. Wix toolset heat, right? Boom. There, install. I think, again, I haven't, like the last time I built Wix installers, it was a V3 setup, and there was none of this stuff. This was, you do your stuff in Notepad and go to town, right? Okay. I suppose what I probably should have done is started with build and make sure it actually does something. Separation of concerns, a fragment for each main Wix component, then gen the wrapping project a bit. Okay, perfect. And that's kind of what I was envisioning. Like, My thought for extensibility, right, is Velopack could just gen one of these suckers, and then if somebody wanted to do something fancy, say we rather than us generating the MSI for you, what we'll do is generate the Wix. You install the Wix tooling, you run the Wix tooling, you customize it if you want to, right? That way, Velopack gets you most of the way there for the people who want it, but then it doesn't have to be entirely on us to build it. And maybe we go one step further and build it too, but it gets twitchy, right? Because I know people are going to want to inject their stuff in the middle, and it's like if I just go, okay, I got you in theory all the way there, unless you want to change it, have fun, right? That might be good enough. It's kind of my thinking. Okay, build one. So I assume if I go and look at this guy, right, I should have something. Great. And if I install it, I expect to see example component WXS installed somewhere. Example component. Let's see. Oh, it's prompting for elevation. I guess I got to do that. Okay. So it installed appropriately. If I look here, boom. Right. So program files to do manufacture package. Okay, great. Right. So this gets me close, and now we start beating it into submission until it does what I want. Right. And I realize I'm committing a sin by testing installers inside of a non-virtualized environment. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, Izzy, is just have it gen that out and then be able to gen up. Like I'm kind of picturing the command line option to VPK be something like, you know, Wix Projector or something, where it'll just gen out into that and you point it wherever it makes sense for you, right? If you want it, gen it. If not, do whatever, right? If you don't want it, don't care, right? That's up to you. It's most people I don't think want it. I think most people are only wanting this because it's more enterprisey and it makes IT departments feel warm and fuzzy when they have an MSI, not an EXE. I think that is my working theory. I don't get a nice uninstall in my click here, right? I have to actually do programs, add remove programs. Sorry. So this is going to be, what is this thing called? Examples something or another. Oh, package one, I think. Oh, look at that. Package one. Uninstall. Uninstall. Yes. Okay. I'm going to leave that. I realized that was off on the. Okay. But more importantly, right? Now we're down to just these ones. Nothing left installed. Okay. Great. Great, 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 great. Okay. So we already know how to generate some of these things. On as an example, when I get to the office. Oh. Izzy. If you are going to volunteer for that, there will be a branch. Stand by. Shortcut works and all. LOL. Yeah, let me so I will move, let me close this out real quick. Let me move this MSI installer project thingy mabobber. I'm going to just cut this and let me go put it inside of my Velopack repo. Because I do have a branch, I just haven't pushed it yet, but I will absolutely push it. As soon as I remember how to spell Velopack. It turns out spelling is going to be my downfall. Okay, so I think I'm going to put it in source for now. This is obviously not where it's going to live. But this can be a reasonable spot for the moment. Let me see here. Yeah, put example Wix project, then you can figure out how to create from VPK. Oh, wow. Izzy, you are a godsend. It'll also the other thing at MSI will kind of get us in position for is right now Velopack doesn't do localization, which is kind of unfortunate. And I know Wix has nice support for it. It's like it'd be nice to not hose that. Okay, so we're gonna get. Okay, so where is my copy branch name? Copy branch name. Firewall rules. See, Izzy, I had a suspicion there might be a user who might want this for something like that. Because that's the other thing that MSI enables. If I allow people to customize the project, as we say, like it does open up the sky's the limit, right? It provides a nice migration path. It's like, hey, we can do a good chunk of what you want. You can get our nice update SDK on top of your app, but then you can still package it up with an MSI and wrap it in all the extra stuff that you want. Because a lot of people have MSI Wixie tooling built already. So it's like, it's probably not a bad integration point, I don't think, ish. Okay, but I'm still going to beat this sucker into submission. Okay, so I have this. Yeah. Because I definitely, part of me also wants to learn this a little bit better because I have not played with this much at all. And I think, look at that, example project. That's what I want. Thank you. Okay. So if I were to do this, I would go through and go with something like add new item. And it's going to be, I don't know, items WXS. I don't know what to call this sucker. Naming's hard. Boom. Right? And then if I close and reopen, should open with the right thing. Okay. FilesDir. So in this case, I am just going to hard code it to my output directory. Because, right? So let me just grab this. Obviously, this will need to be changed. Let's see, FilesDir bind path. Because I think what I saw was FilesDir was expected to be the actual directory. Harvest directory include. Where is harvest directory, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the fact that it's harvest directory include makes me immediately go MS building mode. Because this is very much leaning into how MS build works. So this here would end up being Wix extension. I would go like that, I believe. Publish. All right, let's see. Wix extensions source. Wix extension. Sorry. Are those? I might need some help. May not be tracking. Extension include. Sorry, Izzy. I might need some clarification. I don't know what to do with that. And then I think I come down here, right? And I do this maneuver. No, because it's rather than example components. I was just brushing my teeth. Sorry, I wasn't sure what to do with your previous message. WXS Wix extension source, WXI Wix extension include. Either that or you had voice to text on and you have some of the weirdest sounds while brushing your teeth. I can't eliminate that as a possibility. Okay, I think the document LNA project is invalid. Okay, so this is something that's going to screw me over of not fully understanding how this is expected to work. In Wix 4 it is available as a NuGet package. Okay, so maybe I'm missing something obvious. All right, so that goes like that. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Right? This. Oh, 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 oh. I think I'm an idiot. I think I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I don't do this. I do this. Right. Because this is leaning into MSP. See? Not as dumb as I look. For include for. Oh, I got you. Okay. WX. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. Thank you. Okay. Now, I don't know that this is going to. That just does stuff for me. I'm going to be a little shocked because I can't imagine that that gets me all the way there, right? Bum. Because this is one of the beautiful parts. Never used hard paths for heat though. Yeah, I think this works because this is all MS build, right? This should quote unquote just work. I realize I'm saying that without actually knowing what this thing does. Obviously, it hasn't. The app is more than 32K. I'm pretty confident it no worky. But the go back and look at this because I think let's see here. Harvest output from a project, right? Because normally people would make one of these projects alongside another project, and we just can't do that because we always have to, like, we can't do a project reference because we are always going to be acting on a directory. But like the harvest project include, like I could do a relative path in, that is auto included. Maybe I'm missing something. If it's supposed to gen a file, where is said file then, I guess, is my first question. Because if it's genning a file, I would expect it to be in here. File list absolute, maybe? Let's see. You need to find what the component ID is and then add that to your file. Okay. Usually an object ID somewhere or in OBJ somewhere. Okay, good. I'm not that far off base, right? So it's because I'm wondering if I should be able to run this from the terminal, I believe. Because isn't it just, let's see, make sure I'm in the right directory. Wix. Because I think, isn't it just like Wix build or something? And then my big head on the other side. Not a valid source file. Oh, uh, I want Wix project, not solution. Do a search in text files to find it. All right. That's not what I want. Yeah, in case anybody hasn't seen that trick, package manager code period to launch VS Code into your current directory. Nope. Thank you, VS Code. Don't need you right now. So you're saying I should be able to hunt what though? Something from the material design bit? Or is there going to be... That's the only thing there. But I can go component. Go. Let's see here. So example components. Let's see. So somewhere in here there should be. I assume this is the component ID, maybe. There's example components. I would search for the directory you specified in the heap node. Okay. Sorry, I'm just wrapping my head around this, and I'll go hunt that in just a second. Because the one from the project directory ref ID. I assume this harvested components is probably what I am after, right? Because this guy here is a component ID, and then down here, I assume what I want is this. I think. And then if I do Wix build package 1. Oh right. That no happy. I assume it must be .NET build then. The identifier Wix component group could not be found. Target collected just okay, so that's clearly not right. Sorry. Okay, so that's the reference. Yeah, no, Izzy, you get yourself to work. I'm gonna find my way through this. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Okay, so this guy here would be a .NET build, right? If I feed it the package. Yeah, because it needs MS build to run. If I use the Wix CLI, ah ha 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 ha. There we go. That's much nicer. Okay. I'm not sure I have any GitHub projects as an example. You're about to. You're about to. Okay. I'll make sure we get everything pushed. Let's see. Let's see. Could not harvest data from a file that was expected to be in assembly. Blah blah blah. Cannot harvest data from a file. If this file is not in assembly, you can ignore the warning. Otherwise, this operation is not supported on this platform. What the heck? That's concerning. Because, like, these DLLs are kind of, like, important DLLs. Huh. But it looks like it ripped through all of these. But I'm wondering if the fact that all of these warnings exist is why I'm not seeing the yeah, let's do this. Let's ask the Googles. Okay. Not helpful. Self-reg data. Yeah, see, this is at least nice. Version number. Okay. Let me try. So if that is the case there, I am now wondering if do I still just not get anything? Actually, I bet you we can do this. A binary log. Wait, that build succeeded. What? I'm in the car now. Izzy, focus on driving, not on stream. You're much more useful if you actually make it all the way to work. Package one, I don't know why that one's doubling up. Okay. But now the question becomes, I should have I do. Now we can just diagnose it with happy place, happy place. So for people who haven't seen this, this is the MS Build structured log viewer. Normally you use this to debug your build process, but because this is using MS Build, we can get away with this. Because when you run .NET Build, it kicks all of this stuff off. So in this case, you'll note this guy here is reaching out and across, but if we look at files, I am expecting to see, yeah. So for example, here is the MS Build file for Wix Tools Heat. Right, so it deals with getting heat onto your system and doing all of the needful, which great. We won't worry about that too much at the moment. Because here's the harvest directory. Skipping harvest directory because all output files are up to date with their input files. This is glorious, right? So there's their inputs. Where do you output to? Package one debug, OBJ package one debug harvested components. There we go. See, was that hard? Am I dumb or stupid? Because that path doesn't exist. Did it blow away the directory? Private Velopack build. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is up another directory. Hang on. Why are we way up there? Oh. Oh, I know what's going on. We have some directory. Oh, oh, oh. Look at that. There's your harvested components. Ah, so we have, yeah, okay. So, where is it? In source? Yeah, there they are. We have some directory build props files. And guess what happens uh, when you have some of these lovely little files anywhere in your directory hierarchy? You get hosed. You get hosed is what happens. Let's see here. So we're going to close VS Code. And I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go package manager console and I'm going to go code ... whack. So it was working. It was just that because I then had this ugly thing getting in my way, we're just going to blank these out because I don't want these affecting the Wix side of the fence at all. Yeah. So they were doing too much. But with the, so for people who are interested in understanding these a little bit more, MS build, ending build process, there are a handful of magical files in your build process. And it kind of goes into the outline here, but the key details here are because these files are found by magical names, if they are anywhere in your directory hierarchy, so it starts from your working directory and goes up until it hits the root of your drive or it runs into one of these files. The key thing is it stops once it finds one of these files. So by blanking these things down inside my Wix directory, it won't find the one in the parent directory. If you do need to chain these things together across multiple directories, there is a nice little line you can add to the top of these to chain them, but that is functionally what is biting us. Okay. Okay. That fixes. Let's see. Now what I should see is this thing actually work properly. There, now we get that, but now more importantly, I should see the stuff in here for the harvesty bits. Right? Where did they go? Harvested components there, right? So this is what you were talking about before, Izzy, of tracking this thing down, is it should have generated a file. And it did. It was just because I moved it inside the Velopack repository, it was then missing completely. And that, no bueno. Okay, so that gets me into there. And now I end up with this nice fragment with a directory ref for application folder, and it has all the stuff in it, and it does all the needful and generates a component group for me with our harvest components. Great, 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 great. Because that's now more in line with what we see here, right? A component group with an ID and an install directory, right? So here's the real one, and then the generated one is here for component group harvested components, which means I can come over here and I can do, right? That. And now if we build this, it should actually use those. Okay, the identifier directory application folder cannot be found. So this is directory ref application folder. This one here was using install folder. And so if I come back up to this, I don't want to say CS proj, right? Directory ref, that becomes install folder. Because I assume that variable outputs clean. Could wipe it. Okay. So that makes me feel a little better. Now we're making more progress. So Let's see here. So that was the clean, then the build, couldn't find things, and then cannot find the file source dir. Press root directory. I don't know what this means. Look at the docs. Let's see here. Press root directory. Press generation of a directory element for the parent directory of the file. The default is false. We don't want a directory element, so I think suppressing that is correct. Okay, so that seems fine. Okay, I think that, but could not find the file. So when it generated, it's trying to do this source stir. Why does it not know? Where did source directory come from? Because we fed it a fully qualified path here. Does it have to be relative? What was their sample down here? Files dir, bind path files dir. So, oh, is this the problem? So I think this needs to stay as files dir. But then how do I, okay. .NET clean. I think I need to specify files dir is the issue. Right. So bind path, I need to understand how that works. Do I have status ready disabled? That does not sound like status ready. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Copilot inline chat. How can I specify the files dir for this? Okay, magical AI, do your thing. Oh, does it literally just want a property? Oh, is that all? That feels wrong. No way. Right? Nah, 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 nah. Yeah. Give me the bin log. And I want to go F5. I want to see the failure here. Core compile harvest directory, right? So how does it know? Because it has no inputs, right? So what do you, harvest directory content is the harvest directory full path. So this entire, so get harvest directory content, the way you read this here, not blocking, right? So how this target ends up working is this guy says, we're going to create a new item. We're going to look at the items here that are, we're going to look at the items here that are in this set of harvest directory. We're going to get their full path and we're going to tack on star star slash star, effectively recursively get all the things, right, from the fully qualified path. They output these items into a harvest directory content, and in MS Build, the idea with underscore is kind of a protection modifier. is if it's an underscore, it's usually like, hey, this is private, no touchy. Like, still touch it, but it's kind of one of those, hey, this isn't something you should be. This is expected to be kind of private. But then this target down here, it depends on the target above, which is what makes this guy run, right? But then the inputs here are looking for this harvest directory content, which is what it created here, right? So it's looking at, those are the inputs it's looking for. And so when it's saying the inputs haven't changed, it doesn't bother to run, right? So skipping target because it has no inputs, meaning that set was empty, which means this set is empty, right? Right. So this is package files dir. Like, I don't understand what that bind path is doing. This feels more like something that should go here. Right? This seems incorrect. And I don't understand this bind path. I don't want to whack it completely, but I'm wondering if it needs to be a fully qualified thing as well. Okay. Give me another bin log. Give me a new bin log. Okay. Did something. If I go F5, right? So you'll note there are two entries for the solution that got executed. The key part here is this was the restore target. This one was the default, so it's targeting something, it's looking for something called build. Which it then has build. Okay. Which the build target targets the Wix proj, blah, blah, blah. It does all the things, come down here, blah, blah, blah. Harvest directory, right? This is the guy. Let's see. Building target completely because it detected things were out of sync. Output file here, right? I might look at why the output is going there. But the indeterminate object path, harvest directory, component group name, blah, 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 right? Great, fine. Not that concerned with the naming of it. These ones here look to be arbitrary outputs from the command line because that's actually invoking something custom. We'd have to go take a quick gander and see, because I assume, yeah, so this is a custom task called heat directory, and it lives inside of this assembly, which is Wix heat task path, which is going to be this guy here, which is going to be Wix toolset heat task DLL. All right, so it's going to be out in my NuGet directory somewhere. But this guy ran, he generated, he did a target output, harvest components dir.wix, which is what we expected from before, right? And if I look at my bin, I don't know which one I expect to see things in. Let's back me up. Let's go Splunking. Kind of tempted to look here first. I mean, that cab has a lot more stuff in it. Let's run it. Okay, so this is giving me a fun air now. Because I'm guessing it built for ARM64. That's not really what we're looking for. Shockingly, I'm not on an ARM system. And this one did not pick up anything new. So let me start with torching both of these real quick. Right, and then we're going to rebuild. So MS Build is not overly brilliant when it comes to figuring things out, which is why torching your bin and OBJ directory can make a difference. When you run a .NET clean, MS Build only gets rid of the stuff that it knows about from inputs and outputs. So it doesn't just arbitrarily like just delete the whole directory. So occasionally you will see times where files get left behind because you've made changes in this vicinity, right? And so you'll note here, we're now getting this ARM64. So something by turning on this heat has flipped me into an ARM situation, and I'm not entirely sure why. Okay, so let's see if we can figure that out, because something has told it that uh, that this guy is outputting for ARM, and that is not what we want. It doesn't look like it's there. It doesn't look like it's there. Additional properties. Platform ARM. That's probably doing it. So if I go here, nope. There. If I go here, I should be able to do something like property group. I am actually a little surprised. What happens if I build this now, rebuild? Interesting that this guy's failing. We're gonna go back. I kind of like my command line solution. Because I'm kind of wondering if the Visual Studio extension is helping me out. And I don't want it to. Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to build this sucker programmatically. It would be much nicer if it would programmatically do the things. I'm just not trusting you for a moment. Torch. Okay. Build. You'll also note the MS Build structured log viewer does not lock the bin file, which is glorious. So you can literally leave the file open, and then you can do file reload, or you can just hit F5. So like, if you were building a thing that opens files, this is gold, right? It's like, it is an undervalued thing to not have your app lock a file. Now, sometimes it makes sense. Like, I need you to not change this file out from under me, blah, blah, blah. I'm working with it, right? But if you're just reading, oh, I love it when apps don't lock it on me. Mwah. Right? So why did this? Because I literally set it. Platform ARM64. Am I stupid? Okay. Wix tool set. How does one set the platform? Project references and variables. Yeah. Project name, platform. Set it halfway. I've been screaming Orca for a while. Oh, I haven't installed Orca yet. You still have to get Orca via, because it was like the Windows SDK, right? You can't get Orca by itself. Can I get it by myself? Yeah, Windows SDK components. I just love how you have to install this other thing just so you can get the MSI to install the thingy that you want. Why is the Orca MSI in my recycle bin? That's interesting. Oh. In an ironic turn of events, I only have the MSI. I don't have the cab for it. The irony. The irony. For those people missing out on the joke, cab files are cabinets. And like a filing cabinet, a cabinet file's purpose in life is to hold all your stuff in a nice, organized manner. That is its purpose in life. So if you have an MSI that references a cabinet, You don't have the cabinet file. You basically have the list of everything that's in the cabinet file, but you don't have the filing cabinet to open and get the files back out. You just have a list of what's in there, which is not real helpful, right? And then your MSI goes, "I can't help you. I need my files." I may actually let just kicks and giggles real quick. Winget search Orca. Please, some kind soul. Uh, uh, none of those look like what I want. None of those look like what I want. Yeah, you have the index, but not the encyclopedia. That is another good analogy. Yes, you have the index, but you can't go read any of the fancy entries. I do love how this is. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna download the ISO because I bet you I can just mount the ISO and then grab the MSI. I bet you it'll be that easy. We'll see. Um, anyway, for people who don't know Orca, it's a way to let you read the filing cabinet. Right? You can see what's in an MSI. An MSI is basically a kind of a fancy database. If you've ever cracked open like a SQLite database file with a SQLite viewer, Orca's the SQLite viewer to the MSI. Ish. Right? That's the closest analogies I can come up with. Okay, but this guy claims platform to be a valid thingy-mabobber. That makes me suspect var my project. I want the latest version. Not helpful. Schema reference. Yes, schema. Not helpful. Permanent target. Yeah, because at the end of the day, go back a sec. Uh-oh. I might need more direction. I click way too fast. Go back to one of these. What was I here? Nope. Back up. Because this is the Wix v3 stuff. Because this is var my project, which I don't really have anymore. Like, this isn't a thing. So I went to the v4 section. Not helpful. Not helpful. If I just want to figure out where you're setting the platform from. Extracted file path. That is definitely not what I'm looking for. Do not have platforms. I'm happy to hear this. The Project Wix file. Yeah, and the part that's bothering me is I can see it. Platform. Got it. Okay. Did I just misspell it? Property group. Did I lose it in the warnings? Is that part of the issue? No, doesn't look like it. bothering me is I don't see where. I wonder if it's the fact that okay, here's a theory. Here's a theory. Oh, I don't want that one. I want this one. Right? Let's do package 1 project. I'm wondering if the solution is what's screwing me over. Let's go here. Go F5. Because now, and if I go here and I search platform, right? Available platforms, blah, blah, blah. Available platforms, original platform. And it's set just fine. Right? Okay. So now, did that give me what I wanted though? That. Okay, so something about doing the .NET build and letting it roll on its own and not directly targeting the project seems to be the root cause. Okay, so let's back this up. Let's do this clean so it can be all nice and purdy like. And then let's bin x64 debug. Right, there's that. If I run this installer, prompts for elevation, does the install. And now I expect that if I go and look in program files, and I look at F5. Nope, must be here because it was x64. To do manufacture 1. It's that easy. It's that easy. Okay. Okay. That gets me to there. Okay. All uninstall. Yep, and you should wipe this out. Okay. So it's interesting that it claims that available platforms are any CPU. I wonder if that's actually a property that's being consumed or if this is just something coming in from the SDK. We're going to leave that there for the moment. Okay, so example component is no longer being used. It's just harvested components. That gets me to there, so we get rid of that. I'll whack the bin log for the moment, and then I'm going to check in. Okay, so that gets me to there. Push. Got a lot of renovate PRs open. Not actually sure we care about downgrade being a problem. Okay, so the next question is replacing these names, this version. This upgrade code we would want to generate. I don't know that we care about a downgrade check. Because the setup exe allows you to grab an older version, double click, and it will push you to whatever version of the setup exe that you ran. So if you're on version 2 and you grab the version 1 exe and run it, it will set you to V1. Because you ran the V1 setup exe. I don't know that that's a real common use case. I'm kind of tempted to kill the solution off. Oh, I bet you this is where it's getting its available ones. I bet you that's what's happening. I bet you that's what's happening. Okay. So let's see if we can get this into the appropriate location. So directory install folder, but this is a standard directory. So what I would like to do is look up the docs for Wix or no, I won't. Copilot. Make this standard directory be the local app data folder. Okay, Copilot, impress me. Okay. I don't know how that works. Let's find out. Because if that installs into the right place, that'll make me very, very happy. Oh, shut up. Go away. I'm busy. Um, the ICE, the directory user profile, but is not listed in the remove files table. Okay. I Copilot, how do I fix this? Let's see. Where's Copilot chat? Copilot chat. Uh, where is the chat window? And it's no, that's not right. Open chat. That's what I'm going for. Thank you. Slash fix. Let's see. Okay, tell me something that's not in the error message. It's in the user profile. Now, this means that the installer is creating a directory in the user profile. It's not being removed during uninstallation. Yes, that does sound bad. Uh, you need to add the remove file element to ensure that the directory is removed during uninstallation. Here's how you can modify it. Let's see. A component element is added with a unique ID. Put GUID here. Well, you could have helped me out a little bit here. I'm getting very lazy, Copilot, and I would really like it if you would do a lot more of my work for me. Make sure or other GUID. Generate me a GUID. This feels like something you can do. Thank you. Why was that hard, Copilot? I just needed a GUID. Next time, replace put GUID here with new GUID. Okay, so that may be another GUID that I will end up needing to replace, perhaps, but we'll see. Let's see, something like your app data folder. Yeah. Well, we'll see if this one works. Found orphan component. That was here. Component ref ID main component, right? Uh, okay, I'm missing something that is probably painfully obvious. Component group should be component ref, not component group ref. Well, I will say this, at least it more or less makes sense. when I'm getting errors, what the errors mean. Let's see, the directory, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Copilot, you are worthless. Worthless. Your solution. The one in let's do this. Wix tool set. Show me actually contain 2 directories, blah blah blah. Remove folder on uninstall. Inside the component. Interesting. If the directory attribute is omitted, it takes the directory of the parent component. Inside the component, remove. Okay. So that looks like the same case that we're running into. We have a remove ID on uninstall. But in this case, the suggestion is to actually specify the directory attribute on top of that. From menu, let's see. The directory ID. That this. Try that. At some point, I'm going to want to get rid of all those warnings and see if that makes any difference. That does not fix it. I wonder if name is being problematic. It is required. Okay. So, absolutely a requirement. Okay. Here. So we've got a component group, component file, shortcut, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. But this is app data folder. I'm wondering if maybe I've just got the wrong standard directory. Package scope per user. Oh, hello. Hang on. What is this package scope? Let us look at this. Doll scope. Let's go here. Thing. Package element. Package element. And then has a scope attribute that has a package scope type union per user. Okay, so I want to scope per user. Okay, that gets me to there. Right? And then maybe what I want to do is just go standard directory, the element name, standard directory, yeah. Whoa. Oh, standard directory element. This guy here is this type union. Local app data folder appears to be the right value. Okay, so Copilot got that right. That gets me to there. Okay. Let's start here, because I wonder if that will make a difference with the scope changed. Clearly not. Same number of errors, it looks like. Let's see. Component main component installs to user profile. It must use in its key path, not a file. I do not know what that means, but I'm realizing we've got two main component reference. Oh, no, those are fine. Installs, it uses registry key under H. Installs to user profile. Yes, I agree. That's where I want it to go. It must use a registry key under H key current user. Huh? Look up the component schema. Getting kind of old, Wix. Um, uh, component element. Okay, so you are complaining that it needs path. Right? Is there something about a key path in here? Let's see. If this attribute is set to yes, then the directory. Nope, 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 not what I wanted. Let's see. If it's set to yes, then the directory of this component is used as the key path. To set the registry value. If key path is not set to yes, Wix will look at the child elements. Allowing Wix to automatically set it's dangerous because adding or removing child elements under component can invert change, which can lead to installation problems. Okay. I have no idea what I just read. But I have a feeling. Let's see. If admitted, the compiler defaults to identify to the identifier of the resources that is explicit or default key path of the component. Clearly not understanding something about this key path. Value should be a GUID that identifies the component's contents, language, platform, and generated goods are supported only for components with the single files of components. Also possible to the value empty string to specify an unmanaged component. Managed because the component cannot be removed or repaired by Windows installers. Essentially an unpatchable permanent component. Therefore, a GUID should always be specified for any component which contains a resource that may need to be patched in the future. Great. Always specify. Generate a stable GUID. Yeah, so we just don't want to set it to an empty string. Component identifiers. Wix 4 and Wix 5. Private to the section where it is defined to make it public. Explicit value for ID. That. I feel like I did do that. Just a matter of setting path yes. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. Key path is a file that is used to determine if the component is installed. How do I? This is just the. So maybe I'm misunderstanding something. So I want this thing to install into local app data under a folder that matches the product name. I know this thing has manufacturer product name, which is fine for now, but I'm trying to mirror what the setup does, and maybe I'm just being yeah, for heat you probably want to add something else to the component group. I agree. Maybe that's the path of least resistance, is get the Wix project one working here. I mean, the thing is, the heat one is pointed at a directory ref, and the directory ref is the one inside this folders. Yeah, I think I need to do something here. But initially it was just empty. Right? And maybe we go back to this for a minute. Right? Because this is where we started. Right? Kill that for a moment. Because this was all based under the premise that once we moved the folder into the local app data, when I get signed in, oh, I'll be going longer than 10 minutes, Izzy. I've got, I don't know. My bottle's invisible because it's the color of low caffeine Mountain Dew. More than 10 minutes. Okay, so when doing a standard directory to local app data, it must use a registry key under HKey current user. So this is what I don't understand, right? Heat. Okay, this is what I am. Application folder, my company, blah, blah, blah. Not what I'm interested in. Shortcuts folder. Bum. Yuck, don't do it that way. Yeah, yeah. Um, my experience with Wix is there's usually a quote unquote elegant way to do things, and then you just need the right incantation. But sometimes the incantation requires doing something weird. See, oh, okay. Got it. Here's the solution. When in doubt, copy this. You go to GitHub and you go hunting for someone else done exactly this. Well, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. There we go. 4 to 6 hits. Oh boy. Oh boy. It was like somebody has to have done this before me. I cannot be the first one to do this. Standard directory. That looks real similar to what I got. It looks remarkably similar to what I got. Not helpful. Not overly helpful. This looks fairly old where they manually did all of their stuff. Yuck. That's a lot of typing. Let's see. Directory JetBrains, directory install. I am wondering, is the idea that you, because I'm noticing this one, there's 2 levels of directory. Ah ha ha! Okay. Thank you, Izzy. Okay, so what I need is, so this needs to be install folder, and then what I want is directory ID, I don't know, app install folder, right? And I do name, no, we're gonna do product name, right? So I think what I'm gonna do is this, right? And then I come over, gotta spell install correctly. Then I come over here to my project, building a tree in XML. Okay, and then something like that. Not elegant, but it gets me a lot closer. For errors. Let's see. Put the installer inside the project name one. Oh, I got to go the other direction? Like this? Oh, come on. It's XML. I don't have time to go tell you what formatter to use. You're saying like that, Izzy? Install folder inside of the app one. And then I assume still change this to be directory ref there. Then I'm going to torch my OBJ directory so it forces a rebuild. Still 74. What did it, let me look at what it generated. Because this is just directory ref. What am I missing? Here, let me do something. For anybody who wants to play along at home, where's copy link to? Wants to play along at home? I realize anybody watching the recording of this, that is a long, ugly link that you should not type. It's a lot of typing. Because my understanding, like, okay, because they went inside each of those, and inside their second directory, they just have components, which great, fine, but isn't that what I have? Right? Because inside of the directory, I just have components that contain files. These all have key path true. Is that the problem? Is that the fundamental problem? Is that the harvesting is setting key path true? look at the heat definition. So there's the CS proj. Right, so there, all I'm setting is directory ref, component group, and suppress root directory. Which I can look at what is being genned up over here. I mean, I can at least look at what got passed in and what came back out. You only have one path. There's another parameter to generate static IDs. So I'm guessing it's one of these. Generate GUIDs now. I mean, maybe auto generate GUIDs should be false. Let's look at here. Harvest directory auto generate GUID. Let me get the docs on that one. Let's see. The default is this if specified, otherwise true. This guy here. So this is harvest directory automatically generate GUIDs. And harvest file automatically generate GUIDs. When generating, authoring, there's an auto generation of component GUID. Is specified, otherwise true. So I could turn this off. Oh, Izzy. Let's see. If I do that. I wonder if I should have torched my. That change anything here? No, it didn't. So I'm going to torch my OBJ directory. This is one of those cases where MS build is great, but also horrible because its only metric for should I rerun the target is inputs and outputs. But if you change something that affects the running of it, but doesn't change the inputs or outputs, it doesn't know to rerun. Okay, so this is still the same thing. But what did it generate? What did you do here then? Harvest directory. There it is. Auto generate GUIDs. So what it. So I must need to set the directory one. I don't know why it talks about a file one because I don't see it used here. Okay, so I want to change harvest directory auto generate GUID false. Torch my OBJ directory. Clear build. Still no dice. What the heck? Goes to user profile. It must use a registry key. I don't know what you're saying. Don't understand you. Not a file. How does one install to local app data? Maybe I'm making a bad assumption here. Think so though? Let's turn, because that didn't actually change the, yeah, that didn't actually affect that. So let's try this one. Torch OBJ again. No, no change. Yeah, it's got to be something here. Component installs to user profile. It must use a registry key as its key path, not a file. Because it wants to know if it's already an installed component or not, and it can't rely on the file due to patching. Take a look here. This one here, local app data, programs folder, is Pepe's component file, key path yes, and some wacky slashes. But isn't that what I have? File, ID, key path yes. Because all this has done is changed the GUID behavior, not the key path behavior, which kind of makes sense, I guess. Because it's complaining about the file. Maybe I'm just not grokking how the link between, because I had assumed that directory ref was sort of just implicitly the same thing as putting something inside of the directory element that has the same ID as that. That's kind of the way I had interpreted it. Maybe that assumption's wrong. That doesn't make any difference. If we go back to true. Didn't make a difference. Kill you and rebuild. Psycho bin. Where are yeah, because I guess the big question then is how and how this would work. Unless it has a relationship to that. I think it does, but looked at. Okay, this is at least a 4. Local app data, directory programs, install root name Swift. So let me just try that. Just hypothetically. Whack you real quick. right? If I do this, here, here, we're going to nuke this. We're going to rerun online now and have a bigger screen. I don't know if you have the chat history, Izzy, but this is the branch. I pushed what I was playing with here. Um, the only thing that won't run on your system is this. Um, if you have the material design project down, all I had done is run a .NET publish. This is literally just pointed at an output directory. So I ran .NET publish -- framework net 8.0 hyphen Windows -o publish from inside of the main demo app, just to give me an output directory of stuff to play with. But you could play with any app you'd like. It doesn't need to be that one. They use not listed in the remove files table, which seems to be different, right? I'm wondering then, maybe what I should do is I should look up the directory element. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Because it's ultimately yelling about the directory. Uh, um, come down here, directory element, right? So I come in here. Okay, how about remove folder element? Or is the directory? Because is it as simple as? Is it as simple as? Remove folder element. Is it as simple as remove folder? On then ID on. Okay. Is it as simple as that? Remove folder. Opponent wants to have the remove folder. So that's back here. But the component is generated over here. Can't I? And if I go that make a difference? Directory element. Did I not get rid of it? Oh, I didn't save it. Feature element. Okay. Well, I'm clearly not understanding how to structure this. Where's my perspective? Person have another reference to install routing. Does it not have a component ID property? Depends on what you mean by it. So the remove folder element has a directory, not a component ID element. That's where I'm a little confused. Is I don't know. Seems like I need to make this guy get removed somewhere, but I don't know exactly where that somewhere is. And the component themselves are being generated inside of harvested components. So it feels like I could be wrong, right? It feels like I need to do something in this vicinity to make this thing know that it needs to clean itself up. And I could just create another fragment with another component and bring that in. I guess that doesn't feel right though. There's something that seems off. Let's see here. Installer root. I just realized that I'm on the Swift repo, so that's kind of fun. One of the few times Swift has proven to be very helpful. Yeah, this gets very interesting because it allows you to change it. But I don't understand how this works and mine doesn't. I'm missing something. Because they've got a fragment that contains this. They've got another fragment that contains all root. Like they've got it multiple times in here. Am I just to understand? Use remove folder EX. Version directory cleanup platforms. Is this what it's wanting? A new component group pointed at the directory. Is this the solution? Okay, let me. Wondering if that's the solution. Okay, let's go back here. So if I'm tracking that, do that, right? So that obviously goes there. But this then becomes remove folder. And yeah, sure. That's a lot of stuff. And then the remove folder, I think that I actually want is this guy. I'm going to go here instead. That goes like that. That goes like that. Not the solution. Undefined preprocessor variable. Okay. Let's see. I don't actually care about most of you. I really don't. Oh, if you want uh the repo in question is just the Velopack repo. Uh, so it's just here and then There, I realize you can't maybe open all links, but there's the one if you want it. So Velopack/Velopack for the repo, and then KDB MSI Take Two is the branch. You go back to your fragment a second. Yeah. So it depends on which fragment you're interested in. There's the two. I'm gonna clear this and rerun. Wait, what? That just work? No. Hang on. That the solution? No. It's just it was too stupid to realize it and didn't rerun because of the inputs and outputs. Yeah, because it's still squawking. The install folder. Okay, what are you doing? Version directory. Oh, this component isn't being referenced though. Maybe that's the issue. Right? So I would need to do that in order to have it pick that up, that other component up. Hang on, let me try that. Directory install all root not be found, so I probably didn't use the right name. That the localization localization manufacturer name, right? We don't care about this. We're gonna do this instead. Or okay. I love how um Izzy, I got bad news. Didn't quite get everything. Fragment, component group app, register value, then it cut off there. I mean, it makes sense. Running this one more time. My application heat component group. Oh, wait. My application is itself a component group. Contains a component and then another component group reference. What is it unhappy about now? Oh, wait. That fixed the one error. We're at 73, not 74. Oh. Okay. That okay. So that cleaned that up. So what I really want to do is something that's targeting this harvested group as well. So somehow I need to tell this guy that he needs to be cleaned up as well, right? So this is going to be like component group ref, right? So I need to do something of this nature. Right? And then can I don't think it's going to be this easy, but something of this nature perhaps? And obviously there's potential problems with this, but yeah, I didn't think I could just nest it. Ref. Oh wait, I didn't save the file. That makes a difference. Not that much of a difference. Um, how do I get that there? Uh, so this is obviously not like this. Um, it builds up two fragments, one with a component group. Let's see. Uh, oh, hang on, hang on. This is a slightly different warning. And why does it think this directory is a thing? Oh, because it's picking up nested directories. Oh. Oh. You might. Oh, all good, Izzy. Let's see. You might need to add a reference to the extra utils component. Okay. No, I did not want to click the link. Good thing. Not what I was going for. Pop this. I think. Because I assume you've got centralized package management turned on based on that. I do not have centralized package management on this one at the moment, so I'm just going to copy, manage new packages, add it that way. Come on. 502. I guess I probably could have copied and just assumed that the versions would be the same. Stuff in there. Got it. Problem there. Okay. So this actually, so this here actually fixed my top level problem. This fixed my top level problem. The part it didn't fix is the nested directories. Because, for example, the system command line ones that have localization, so it didn't handle the subfolders, but it handled the top level directory. Okay, so, but didn't I see that remove folders had something in it about subfolders? I thought I saw that in the doc. Subdirectory. can I just do subdirectory star? Is that a valid thing? Let's see. Not a valid relative long name because it contains illegal characters. Legal relative long names. Any character except for the follow may be used. Might need the extended one for that. Okay. Um, where do I Wix will set till. Oh, is this the that's the one that I saw in the Swift repo, isn't it? Where they were removing remove folder ex, right? If I look up here, yeah, they're doing this. I don't think that's the right schema. It might need to be a v5. On the left, I think they're under. How do you see them? Oh, you're talking about in the docs page. Uh, util schema. Oh, look at that. Remove folder ex element. There we go. Let's see. Those are full path. Got it. Okay, so this is what they were using. I wish it would show me what the show it at the top. So okay, so it is actually v4 is still the right XML schema. Okay, 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 okay. I am down. Then if I do that, that means that if I look at this, I should be able to get rid of this. This is using platform. We're gonna do this. Let's see. So property platform versioned. I don't want a condition. I think I want to set let's see. Remove folder ex. I think I want to set on uninstall. I think I still want that. But I think I want this to be install folder. I think. Let's see. Sure that the extension for elements been provided. Yes, it has been provided. It's the correct version. That allows you to pull in the schema and use the element. The docs have a section on util. Yeah. This member property pattern. Name remember property. Property remember me. What are they doing here? Got a property remember me. It's stored in current users. Remember demo. Remember type raw. Registry value. Uh, does not save property values for you. Uh oh. Quite what I think I care about. Um, by writing temporary rows for each subfolder of the root folder you specify. Um, uh, let's see. Contains an unhandled exception. But this is actually show the extension for elements has been provided. I do not understand why that. What do I need to do to install? Um, I've added the reference to utils. Yeah, his is a little different, but I get that. Uh, XML namespace, which I have. Did I miss casing or something? No, the casing looks right. Doing wrong here. Go back and just double check the docs page and make sure, because I guess I did copy that from the Swift one, not from the docs page. So let me actually grab the docs page as soon as I remember which one of these things I had open. Right. So this is util schema. This is the right schema. Here. Paste. That looks identical. Okay. Huh? Um, why? Uh, reference. That extension. Yeah. If it's not there, then the build will not find it. Do I have to do some install of it as well? That part of the issue? Uh, fix extensions. Using extensions. Oh, do I actually need this? Load extensions using the command line tool. Loading extensions using the Wix project MS Build project. I mean, I thought I brought it in. And I think I did. You might need to specify a version explicitly. That looks like Package reference include. Yep. You do the command line stuff for you, but I always manually do a .NET restore before building or adding a new package. Okay. And I'm gonna just, for sanity's sake, torch this sucker. .NET restore. Alright, so that gets me. Well, then the heat. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm a frickin' moron. Pro tip, if you don't save the file. Hey, look at that. You think that might make a difference? I'm going to go out on a limb here. Hey, look at that. Now it added it to the project assets. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, so what are we actually getting here now? Component. So this changed back. Let me look back at the Swift one of what they were doing. They were doing a component group platform versioned. They look to be storing this thing off. Name platform version, because they're just storing this thing off. Because they're doing the same thing. I think that's what they want there. If I understood that persisted property, because they want to save the versioned folder path into the registry so that when an uninstall occurs, it can look up that folder from the registry. Because it's not actually stored anywhere. Okay, and this, okay, so that gets that working. But this now is the nested one, I believe. Yeah, so this is now nested. Well, but we're back to the folders. Wix one too. Why is this so hard? Wix, this is why people don't like you. This is why Velopack will be successful. Because this sucks. No one wants to do this for their installing. It's like, I just want to put my directory in local app data. Why is this requiring so many steps? Let me try something here real quick. Want to install my app side of local app data within a folder specified by the product name property. Make it so. You are not helpful. Let's see. You need a dummy component under the directory with a registry as the. Okay. Let's see. Dummy component under the directory. ID. Okay. And then this needs to be a registry value. Yeah. Okay. And then I think, if I'm understanding you correctly, this guy comes down here, right? Because we want to read that registry value back out on an uninstall. Don't need path here. And then that goes like that. And then this becomes dummy. Is it? Am I tracking all that correctly? I don't know if I necessarily tracked the property thing. Found orphan component dummy. You must include directly in a. So does that mean I go here and go component ref dummy? Okay. Let's see. Component ID dummy with register path has a GUID value that duplicates another component in this package. Okay. No, it doesn't. So this guy here, once again, I think this is the a nested one if I was guessing. No, this is just the straight component. So if you have a component group that references a directory, is that the same? Like, are both of these things effectively components inside of this directory? Like, if I do this, right? Does that get, are those equivalent if you put a identifier component dummy? Right, because I don't need this anymore. I'd make a component group that references the heat component group with the extra components in it, then feature refs the new top level component group. Sorry, Izzy, I'm processing what you just said. Make a component group. Okay. Component group. Actually, let's just fragment these off as well to make sure that I'm not mixing my stuff up. Okay. So we do something like that. Let's see. I would make a component group, check, that references the heat component group. How do I do a component group that references the heat component group? Because this is the one here, right? Is that a component group ref ID equals like this? Component group ref. Okay. I am resembling correct. Okay. With the extra component in it, and then sure the new top level component group. Then this guy, then feature refs the new top level component group. New top level component group, feature refs. Version directory cleanup platforms. Oh, I see. So actually what you're saying is I can do this. I don't need this one because this is a brand new component group. Or do I need to go the other direction? Because this way, this one's already referenced here, I think. Yeah, and ref that in the feature. So this guy, version directory cleanup, is refed there. Brings it here. Okay. Not a fragment start tags. Just unhappy about the commented code. Yeah, it's just not okay with comments there, apparently. Great. Okay. Install. So it really, really, really doesn't like something here. All folder. Files. This is the nested directory, I believe, and then but then it still complained about the top level one as well. Right, so if I look here and go there, property should be the install folder, I think. Property should be of the remove folder. So you're thinking here. Does this need to be like this then? Yeah, let's try it. 74 is smaller than 78. Okay, so that has somewhat fixed that fixes the top level one, but doesn't fix the nested heat components. So, like, for example, this one here, I believe, is going to be the first component reference. Yeah, so this guy here is the first component. So this deals with the install folder, but how do I say torch everything in the directory? That's, I think, what I am now missing in my knowledge. Because in this remove folder, let's see here. Might need a transform that pulls them all out. Yeah, check what directories they're in. Point. Oh, point. I assume this one had been in the first one. Yeah, so the first component is just straight in install folder. Because I believe this is just all the top level items, and then it gets into the nested localization DLLs. The tool chains version. X or component into each directory when heat runs. Oh, got it. Okay, so that means this here is what you're talking about. Uh, apply to generated authoring. Harvest directory transforms.